Righto then folks, we've got something a little bit different again this week. You may recall at the end of March, Hands on History carried out another exhibition, and this time it was in Lewes at King's Church in partnership with the Sussex School of Archaeology and History. Here's the result of that exhibition. It was a brilliant day in Lewes, so check out some of the people who exhibited and what they were exhibiting. Towards the end of the video, we're also going to have a look at a curious bit of Lewes history, a mysterious death. So stay tuned for that, because really I was so taken aback by this story. Okay, well, hope you enjoy Hands on History at Lewes. As before, I'm going to do an on-the-fly commentary as I watch the video back. So first up here, we've got Candice and her amazing pipe finds and some of her pottery shards. You can see some of Candice's finds in Secrets of the Thames, the exhibition at London Museum that's now on until March next year. So do go and check that out. So the reason I'm pausing here, apart from these beautiful tile and slipware shards, I mean, she's got some really substantial pieces there. That inscribed piece of salt glazed jar there, look, it's inscribed 1743.
And it's the only thing that I can date accurately with 100% accuracy.
Well,
unless they were lying.
Unless they were telling an untruth. Yeah, that's really cool. And now a gorgeous Bellarmine shard, as confirmed by Alex from the Bellarmine Museum.
It's a jug from a tavern in Temple Bar. It's the old clock inn, and the landlord's initials, HC, are on it.
Very cool.
And Alex told me, so I know. I know it's true.
The Cock Tavern, Temple Bar, Fleet Street, one of the oldest pubs, although it did change sites, and one of the narrowest pubs in old City of London town. Visited by many, many notable people, including Virginia Woolf. I'm pretty sure that Cock Tavern relates to this Cock Tavern that Candice found this salt-glazed fragment from. Another interesting one here, you know we often find medieval and Tudor money box fragments from the Thames. Here is something a little later in date. It's a stoneware money box fragment, and here's Candice telling us about it.
You know, it's mud on the rest of it, so I'm like, I thought it was dirt of some kind. And I only picked it up because of the initials, and then I saw it was a money slot, a money box.
Yeah, that's right.
So now I'm searching like crazy for the knot.
At the end, she's saying there, she's still looking for the money box knop, so like the little finial for the top of that money box. So here's Tracy's square petal mudlark. Now, I previously mentioned Alex from the Bellarmine Museum. Now, this relates to him too. A gift from Alex to Tracy is this beautiful bearded man section of a Bartmann jug there, which he picked up at some point on his travels. What's interesting is this particular face relates to the one in this book here, which, although it may not have been made from the same mould, is the same design as the reference in the book. So Tracy is now the custodian of this beautiful bearded man fragment, and there in context with the find is an actual complete jug there. I'm not quite sure where this fragment was picked up, but it was a gift from Alex from the Bellarmine Museum. But there's more to this story, because Tracy found a fragment potentially from the same mould as this large fragment. So what do we get when they all meet each other? Let's find out.
I found this little man who I think of as William Shakespeare. In my mind, he's William Shakespeare. But watch the eye contact when the two brothers meet again after all this time.
Oh, wow.
See, he gives him a smile, sees his brother.
Right, so while I'm just messing around with this ear scoop and King Edward VI's ear, I want to say that the next thing is also Tracy Square Petals. She is related to Holloway's of Holloway's Ointments. So let's see, it's a bad recording because it was so busy and noisy, but let's see if we can hear what she's got to say about that.
We kept this sort of stuff because we're related to Thomas Holloway wife.
Yeah.
It's probably a bit of a strong time to make all that money.
Well,
That's what the college looks like. So it's a university now.
Next up, we've got Heather Weston. So we're going to have a big mention for Heather because she is lovely and she's a big fan of mudlarking and then started mudlarking herself, has found that amazing tile there, I think. And also, she's been making these lovely Delftware pots. So she's been recreating these Delftware pots. And I was so taken by these because when you look closely at them, see that? You can see that lovely pitting and those marks so obviously related to tin glazed Delftwares. So yeah, she's found these gorgeous pieces. Again, you can see the pitting on there and the irregularities. And then Heather's gone and created some of these pots herself with the same material, really getting to grips with and understanding a fabric. I think it's so important, especially for research and identification. So then she's got some great finds like this pipe here, this bunch of grapes, and these are fab shards. Gorgeous stuff and lots of other bits and bobs. Yeah, so big shout out for Heather. Sussex Industrial History were there selling some of their wares. Fantastic publication. Do check it out if you're interested in industrial history. You can get these online. At our events, we often have a Finds Liaison Officer come and be present, and they can check your finds and help you with identification. Today, on this day, we had two. We had a Kent FLO and then, or it might have been a Sussex one. Anyway, we had two. We had Stuart Wyatt from London, our FLO that we go and see. Here's his table with some really nice goodies on, so check this lot out. This is an Elizabethan token, and look how perfectly in half it has been folded. They have done a great job here. It reminds me of those German pretzel or brazel cutting competitions. They've got that bang on half there. A beautiful thing, can't be unfolded. That's firmly shut together like that. So, yep, gorgeous thing there amongst Stuart's finds that he's brought to show. And then over here, I was so taken with this little lead fish. Stuart doesn't think it's a lure or anything like that, just a little curio, a little novelty that someone has created. But I love that fish. You know I love lead stuff, and anything with a little face or a design or an animal, love it. Okay, moving on now. Here we've got Kasia, she of the complete medieval to Tudor money box. You might remember I have shared that before. Kasia has some gorgeous finds, not least this tiny little glass, possibly apothecary bottle, probably really lovely. Was so taken with that. And then she's got some other nice bits, lots of blades, and she has in the past given me blades to clean up and keep, in fact, and they are now in the Queen Hithe collection. Over here, a good lot of mail armour, which I absolutely love. And then in these other little bits and bobs, I love looking through her stuff because she's got some little peculiar things like this Clerk of Works from the Houses of Parliament. You can see in the background there ceramic chuckstones, a really good selection of items that she's brought in and really varied. There we go, that's Kasia. And then we're going to move on to Val. I think here in the midsection, I'm not sure if this is Val or not, so if you're watching, please tell me and I will add your name. I can't quite remember who this is. It might be Kasia. Right, moving on to Val. We have got a load of great stuff here. Look at these beautiful pipes, especially that one in the middle there. I think I can see a mason's pipe in there, just behind the lady in the centre. And Val has very helpfully added the pipe ID chart there. And oh look, she's got a little poster, a little flyer there for Secrets of the Thames. Now, here's what she wanted to show me. This is her smallest pipe find. I'm not 100% convinced it's the 1580 pipe. It might just be a tiny bit later, maybe more like 1600, but that is a really tiny pipe bowl there. And look, you can see the difference between this very, very early pipe. So this is one of the earliest pipes you've got. It's like the size of your little fingertip. compared there next to a pipe of 18th century date. And you can see as tobacco became more widely available and affordable, the pipe bowl size went up, of course, because you wanted to get more of that stuff. Anyway, yeah, this tiny pipe is a gorgeous thing. Love it. Really love it. And look at that tiny one in there. Yeah, nice stuff here. Moving on round, still with Val, we've got some other things over here. So look at that lovely base of an onion bottle there. And what is, I don't know if she found that in the middle. Perhaps she did. I don't remember her telling me about that. And then we've got a bit of a mix-up of more colourful finds over here. Lots of marbles, bit of tile there, malt kiln tile. We've got some barnacles, some flints. A lovely section of pen tile there. Some teeth, more bottle bases. Yeah, I think maybe that thing from a minute ago was Val's. So, I'm not sure. If I have not correctly ID'd you, please let me know. But here are some little bits from Val in the cases. And she's got one of the eyeballs there, a glass eye. Fantastic. And an absolutely enormous jar, or a jar full of cowrie shells. That's incredible. I asked her, actually, if she found all these cowries together in one setting, or if they've been collected over time. She didn't want to give too many secrets away, but I suspect she may have found a big load of cowries together. I don't know. She wouldn't tell me. But yeah, it's great to see them all together like that. Moving on, we've got the big chunky finds of Andy Brown. We've got some projectiles here. I think we're doing a quick whiz round on these. Some boat hooks, a quant. I think that's a quant. And caulking tool. Maybe a fuse timer there. Yeah, some nice heavy duty stuff going on here from Andy. Love to see it. And randomly a box of vulcanite stoppers. Now heading over to Frank. Frank I had not met before. We've been following each other on Instagram a while, and this is the first time he has exhibited with us. So let's see what Frank's got. This pipe tamper was my favourite find of his, probably. I was so taken with it. And if you look at it closely, there's a little figure sitting on top of a barrel. I'm assuming a barrel of beer. I love the way Frank had his finds displayed here. Love this kind of like heavy brown display. It's my kind of thing through and through. And that little coffin box there, is that might be Alessio's actually. We'll move on to him in a minute. This this pin, if you can see in the middle there, I was really taken with a beautiful pin with a chunky head on there. And then, yes, are we pausing for the pin? Not sure. Okay, so Frank's got this lovely cabinet. This little bottle, gorgeous thing there with the sword on the side. I don't know what I'm hesitating about at here, but yeah, giving the bottle a turn. I get very nervous about potentially dropping people's finds, so didn't want to do that. Looks like my eye has been caught by Alessio right next door to Frank, so we've gone to have a little peek over there for a second. He's describing something. Let's see if we can hear it.
Shape, yes? It's hollow. Yeah, hollow. It's got sort of like spout here, and then he has a whatever it is, this bit. What would you do with it? There was a thread going around, but it was not to have thread. No.
But not a game where you have to put the...
It's not a game.
It's not a game that you want to play anyway.
Not a game you want to play.
It's not a game.
Would a thread have gone through it?
No.
Okay, so while we look at Alessio's gorgeous finds here, I'll tell you what was going on there. Alessio, like me and a few other people, have a fragment of this bone instrument. It is medical related, and we love to show people what it is because it's kind of a bit gross. In the 18th century, there was a big leaning towards alternative medicines, and that little fragment we were holding up, if you've seen my videos before, you may know what it is. It is a fragment of a tobacco smoke enema. So people were being treated with tobacco smoke, but the enema, obviously, you know where that's going to go. So these pipes were attached to bellows, and the early versions, the bellows were made from pig's bladder, and the tobacco smoke would be pumped into this pipe system, and then it would enter into the body through your backside. Actually, it wasn't just a complementary health thing, even though lots of people did use it as that. It was also used by the very earliest incarnation of the RNLI, who used this tobacco smoke procedure to try and revive people who'd fallen into the Thames and become unconscious. So yes, that's what that little fragment is. Anyway, all this other stuff I'm looking at here, caulking tools and boat hooks and chisels. Alessio's got some amazing stuff, and a lot of it is engraved either with markings or initials. And these items here, we were talking about the fact that he'd given them to Graham to clean up. I'm now looking at these pipe kiln pieces. So this muffle, I think it's called, from a kiln, and there are these little squidges from kilns, also kiln furniture. But this is really interesting that I've picked up here, because this is part of kiln waste, but it would also have been in the structure of the kiln, and there are tobacco pipes in there which have been incorporated into this kiln furniture, or perhaps actually part of the kiln there. So that's what we're going on about here.
Back in the days in Vauxhall, and you can tell yes, the typical herringbone. I mean, they were placed precisely in this structure. This is more of a kiln waste sort of thing.
Yeah, they're really interesting. These are lovely. I've got to try and find the... Oh, hang on. I think it's the other hand.
Is the right, yes.
Yeah.
But you see that correct.
Yeah.
And you see the palm. Here there are the palm prints.
Oh, big hand.
I think it was in 2 rounds. The first one was that.
Oh, okay.
And then it went backwards a bit. I think then it flipped it this way.
Oh,
and he had the second go.
Ah, you're right. Oh, you're right.
He had 2 squishes.
Yeah.
And in fact here you see the last squish with the fingerprints that you can see.
Oh, yeah. That's so good. I love these so much.
And it's glazed because the glaze was in the vapors. It wasn't originally glazed.
Yeah, so that just caught in the kiln. I love these. I mean, these are like people essentially, aren't they? You know.
Like I picked it up. Only 19 people put a coin through the coin slit. Only 19 people. So if you want to be the 20th, feel free to pick a coin and like go into the globe. I think that is, yeah, take a smaller one. There you go. Number 20.
You're in.
I'm counting them. So these were used at the theatre in the South Bank, probably the Globe. They were sealed and they were used to collect the tickets.
Right.
And so...
Let's see if I can get this. Oh. So what was it exactly?
So this was a religious sculpture, and it could have been of different sizes. For example, here you can see that it could have been human size in a church. And it was to remember the episode where just before Jesus was killed, St. Peter said that he didn't know him for 3 times until the cockerel sang.
Oh, until the cock crows.
And so it was called cockerel on a column or on a stand, and it was put on the top of an altar, on the foot of a church, and it could have been of all sizes. And this was one of these tiny forms. And in the religious iconography, this cockerel started being less common after 1520. And so this could be an early Tudor, it could have that much of an age.
Wow.
And this is definitely like an analog to this.
Yeah.
And this is even less preserved. So this is quite of an interesting rare.
Wow. Here we've got one find I wanted to show you from Leslie. It's a Roman dice or die. And what's curious about this, if you look at the numbers on the side, there's 2 3s. Have a close look at this now. You can tell it's Roman. It's so tiny. The age, the wear, the patina. It's such a beautiful thing. Have a close look. Absolutely love it.
There you go.
Super tiny.
Where's the bottle it goes into?
A little tiny bottle. Fits in.
Okay, folks, I hope you enjoyed that little roundup of the exhibition at Lewes. After the exhibition, I took a stroll over to All Saints Churchyard, as I'd noticed a curious couple of tombstones I wanted to check out. I'm a lifelong enthusiast of researching burial grounds, cemeteries and final resting places, and I share my graveyard adventures as favourite graves. I'll put the links to further reading and viewing in the video description. Lewes, being the county town of Sussex, is a really historic town with many ancient buildings. Appearing as Lewes in the Domesday Book, it was the site of the Battle of Lewes in 1264. So what I'm saying is, it's got a lot of history going on here. I hopped over to this graveyard to look at a strange totem-like cat-top structure that I'd noticed earlier in the day that apparently related to an art trail from some years ago. The small church at the centre of the graveyard is now a community centre rather than a place of worship. So stepping into this pretty little churchyard, before I even got to the cat totem thing, I noticed a flat gravestone with a curious inscription. George Harman Senior, grave opened 1831, closed 1882. Opening and closing is a burial site process and funerary ritual, both with strict and solemn guidelines, but essentially its function serves to do what it says on the tin. It's the opening and closing of a grave. Now, I'm guessing that the 50-year gap relates to burial plot rights, perhaps handed down from one family member to the next, but curiously, the deaths of Harman's descendants didn't tie in with these dates at all. My curiosity piqued by this gravestone, I went a-looking for more information on George Harman Senior. Now, not to make light of the following, but wow, I was in for a surprise. Although Harman's life was interesting, beyond conveyancing articles and his extensive will, it's through his death that we learn the most about him. So I set about deep diving the Harmans because of this inscription and ended up somewhere entirely unexpected. The mysterious death of George Harman at Lewes train station in 1845. Now, not to mislead you, I'd like you to note that this photo here, although depicts a genuine crash site at Lewes, it was taken in 1879 and does not depict the 1854 incident I'm about to tell you about. We'll work backwards, which is how things unfolded for me. So here is the grave of George Harman Senior, master builder of Lewes. Please note, grave opened 1831, closed 1882. 18th of October 1845, George Harman boarded the 5:25 train at Haywards Heath, bound for Lewes Pinwell Station, as it was then known. George alighted at Lewes around 6 o'clock and was found some 3 hours later, and I quote, laid upon the rail, literally cut in two, obliquely from the right shoulder to the short ribs of the left side. Now that sounds pretty gruesome. What happened was this. As reported by station staff and other train travellers, on the day he died, George Harman was wearing a hat, carrying an umbrella, 2 baskets of apples, and about his person had his pocketbook, papers, and money. Why and how he spent 3 hours wandering around the train tracks at Lewes before meeting his unlucky end is put down to something he was suffering from, at the time described as spasmodic episodes, and this was described by his son. So he got off the train, apparently had this episode, was down on the tracks in some state of confusion for 3 hours wandering around, and then it's said he came to, sat bolt upright on the tracks. As a train was approaching, he held up his hand to try and stop the train. The driver, of course, slammed on the brakes, but it was too late. The train ploughed straight into George, and he was very sadly killed on the spot. I've been researching this for a while, and there's not really that much information than what I found in newspaper articles. I have pestered every archive in a 1 billion mile radius to see what else I can uncover about it, because I was so taken by this story. It really spoke to me. I was in the graveyard, I was eating a sandwich, the day was finished, we'd done the exhibition, and I looked at this grave, started researching it, and found out all this information about this guy who was a master builder in Lewes. He was a very notable person, and yeah, I'm so surprised that there aren't many stories about this on any local history groups. It really isn't spoken about very much. So sadly, the incident predates the coroner's records held at East Sussex Archives. Anything before the records they hold have sadly been lost or destroyed, so I can't get hold of the coroner's report. So my detective work into George Harman Senior continues, and as ever, if I find anything else out about him, I will let you know. So there's a little bonus story to the end of the exhibition day. I really hope you enjoyed this video. We'll be back on the foreshore next time. So yeah, until then, take care everyone. Thanks as ever for following and commenting and subscribing. That's great, and I'll see you next time. Bye.